Hi everyone. Today's podcast with Brian Graham includes themes and contains some content that may be upsetting for listeners. At the end of the interview with Brian, we will share details of a range of services available to support you if you're upset after listening to the podcast. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 6 of the official Partick Thistle Football Club podcast. The final episode in series 1 as we chat openly and honestly with key characters around the Partick Thistle men's team. Today's episode is supported by our host upstairs at the Wire Stadium at Firhill, the podcast rooms, and is in partnership with valued club shirt sponsor across both men's and women's teams, Clyde Built Home Improvements. Before we go any further today on the subject of podcasts, congratulations to everyone at the number one podcast by Thistle supporters, for Thistle supporters, Draw, Lose or Draw, on their 200th episode. A huge milestone and achievement by Matt, David and the team. Be sure to listen to episode 200. It's an episode and a half. Back to the PTFC podcast. We started this series strongly with the manager and we'll complete it strongly with the captain, as I'm delighted to be joined today by the talisman himself, Brian Graham. Brian, a warm welcome to you. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm fine, Welsh. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. I can only start in one place today, I'm afraid, and that's to invite you to say a few words about Stephen Lawless following yesterday's awful news as to the extent of his injury that he suffered on Saturday. I'm sure you'll have spoken to Stephen, but if he's listened to this, what message do you have for him?
I would wish him a speedy recovery, first and foremost. Obviously, I was on the pitch. I was quite close to him, and I'd asked him what had happened, and he said, somebody just kicked me in the calf. So we weren't really sure what had went on. But then, obviously, once we got back to the changing room, that's when the worry started to set in within the medical department. And then, obviously, later that evening, into the Sunday, we know he'd had a real bad one. Listen, players will come back from it. Steve, he's a strong-minded character, so no doubt in my mind he'll come back strong as ever. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to miss him when he's not on the pitch because he's really creative. He's helped me a lot scoring goals for Partick Thistle, so I wish the wee man a speedy recovery and hope he's back soon.
Absolutely, here. It goes without saying he's the support of everyone at the club, and he's going to need that support in the months ahead. In addition to he's got a strong family and friends network, of course, but from your perspective, how important is that external support going to be from medical staff, management, players and even fans alike?
No, I think with any bad injury you get, you need your teammates round about you, just even if it's just a wee odd text now and again, because at the beginning he'll probably be in the house quite a bit trying to recover from his operation he's getting later on in the week. So, but I've reached out to him, I told him if he needs it and just give me a buzz, and he appreciates it, so we're here for him, anything he needs.
Well said, Captain. Take care, Stephen, and we'll touch you again before we finish, I'm sure. Earlier on Saturday, of course, at East End Park, Brian, you scored your 18th league goal of the season and 22nd goal of the campaign overall. There's still a fair bit of football to go, of course. A few other stats with thanks to the Thistle archive. Became only the 4th Thistle men's player to score in all 4 league games against the same team in the same season. You've probably all read all this, but I'm repeating it. The others: Colin McAdam, Alex Burns and a certain Chris Doolan. You've now matched Mark Roberts' competitive tally of 05-06, and now you're jointly the highest scorer for Thistle this century. You've increased your total each and every season since joining the club, 3 in the very shortened season 1 after you joined in January, 11 again in a shortened season 2021, 17 in 21-22, 21 in 22-23, and now 22 and counting this season. Incredibly, you've now scored in a 15th consecutive month for Thistle, extending a very unique club record. And by my calculation, keep me right, because the numbers sometimes got them down depending who interviews. That's competitive goals 75?
I think it is 75.
75, in just over 4 years, a goal every other game. You're heading in for the top 20 scorers of all time at this club in terms of the men's team. Nestled in between legends Jimmy Bone and Dennis McQuaid in the all-time list at the moment. I know a lot of that is stuff you probably reflect on after you've hung up your boots, if that ever bloody happens. But all that must bring you so much pride.
No, it brings you joy as well. Listen, I don't think I could have imagined that when I first came to Partick Thistle that I was going to score all those goals. I think a lot of people looked at my age and thought I was only here to try and save them from relegation before obviously the COVID killed that and the dodgy email it was about. Plus, there was a dodgy email about that pitch they've got now. So, but anyhow, no, listen, first and foremost, going back to the goal tally, it's great for me. Like, obviously, I always set a target to try and beat my record every year. I knew after scoring 21 last year that it was going to be really difficult, but somehow managed to do it this year. There's still games to come. There's still 4 league games to go, potentially playoffs. So now you keep looking up and how high can you get the goal tally before the season finishes. It has been quite remarkable, the journey that I've been on at Partick Thistle. And sometimes in life things are meant to be, and I just feel it's one of these things once I came to the club and everyone round about it and the way the people of the club took to me, and I fitted in extremely well. So it's worked out really well for both parties.
It sure has. It sure has. We had a discussion on Saturday with some other fans, and usually you look at a player and towards the end of their career, if I can put it that way, you might start to see them play less minutes or have less impact in the pitch. We had a discussion about, is Brian Graham today an even better player than he was when we signed him 4 years ago? And the consensus was yes. And that's meant to be a compliment.
No, listen, there's no doubt in my mind, like, as it's well documented, it was a family decision to come down the road. I knew I could have still played in the Premier League. I still see myself as a Premier League striker. But my ambition is to get Partick Thistle to the Premier League. It's not quite worked out that the way I would have liked. We were so unlucky last year, but we might have a chance this year, and fingers crossed we can do it this year.
Absolutely. Right, that's enough about Brian Graham in the 2020s for now. Let's talk about Brian Graham, the footballer. In the 1990s, when you're just a boy from Barmulloch growing up, are you the same as Stephen Aero talked about? Get the ball, local pitch, jumpers for goalposts, all that, plays football as much as you can.
I stayed in a wee place called Burnley Court, and we were one of 5. It was free up. We had 5 apartments. We had 3 sisters and a brother, so it was a big household. And outside our house was garages, so it was heated 2-touch constantly, out playing heated 2-touch with other local boys. Summer holidays were absolutely glorious because there was a yellow flat in Burnley Court as well, and all the old ladies used to come out and sit in my mum's front wall, and my mum would make them tea about 11 o'clock at night, and all the scheme lanes would be running about. Honestly, in the days the dogs took themselves for a walk as well, so it was brilliant. The door used to get opened. We had a wee Jack Russell, and he used to get with his pals and all. So, but that was part of life growing up in Barmulloch and Burnley Court for me, and glorious days. My wee boy and my wee daughter, they wouldn't understand that kind of upbringing, but it valued me as a person. I absolutely loved it. I loved the fact that you didn't really have to worry about social media. You were allowed to just go out, enjoy yourself, go out playing with your pals, build dens, go on bike rides, disappear for a couple of hours, and then you'd hear your mash out you in about 5 o'clock, right, dinner time. You go in, quickly eat your dinner, and then you were back at the door again. You were never in the house. But today's generation, kids are just stuck in the house on iPads, on PlayStations, and if they do it outside now, there's a phone getting pulled out and videos are getting taken of kids and photographs. It's just a total different generation, and it's one that I just don't like whatsoever. It's just, there's a lot of bully culture going about now, and a lot of videos go about. It just boils my blood, if I'm really honest. But I was quite fortunate with the upbringing I had as a young kid in a deprived area of Barmulloch. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't have said we were a deprived family, but that's where we stayed and that's where we grew up, and I absolutely loved it. I wouldn't change it one bit.
Well said. When you were playing in that environment, goal scorer straight away, is that what you were?
I always just worked hard. Listen, I always felt as if I had good feet, but in my younger days I used to be really quick. I had pace to burn, but then when you get to between 13 and 15, your body starts changing, and I just turned into a big gangly giraffe. And honestly, for the 2 years, I was so unfit. Like, I couldn't keep up with the way my body was changing, and I went for this wee tiny quick striker to a big gangly striker that it took me a bit of time to adjust. And like I was at Clyde Pro Youth at the time, and I was playing, but then the body started changing, and I wasn't really enjoying it. I went back to play boys club at West Park, and I remember, it was pre-season at the time, and I was the unfittest person at the club. I was at the back, like, I could not believe it. Like, I couldn't keep up with the boys. My body was just changed that much that I had to basically restart again. And then once I did catch up to my body, then kind of kept on. And I was quite lucky and fortunate that I got a trial with Morton when I'd went to Hillington at that point, and my dad knew Chip Charnley, Partick Thistle legend, and he knew Jim McInally, so I got a trial at Morton. First game was away to Falkirk. I think we lost 2-0, but I played really well, and then they invited me back to play Queen's Park at Capello, and we won 4-1, and I scored a hat-trick, so I got offered a YTS contract. I was working as a ceramic tiler at the time, getting 200 quid a week, and then, because I'd left school at 15, I'd had to go back to 5th year, but because I wasn't 16 in November, but school, I just went to school to play football with my pals, but because I left, the PE teacher phoned me, Mr. Tom, and says, you're still in the school register for the year, so you can still come and play on a Saturday morning. So that's what I did for the year. Mr. Tom used to phone me on a Friday, you coming tomorrow? Aye, no bother, sir, I'll see you in the morning. So I used to go and play for the school, even though I'd left, because I was still in the register for the full year. So that was excellent.
Who was from that, I suppose, from that period when your body was changing to getting your breakthrough at Morton, who were the most significant influences or coaches, teachers?
Oh, I think my dad's been the biggest influence in my career. He's took me up and down the country. He's took me everywhere. I do describe him as Jose Mourinho at times because listen, my dad played with the Old Crocs and for the Brumie team, do you know what I mean? And I used to go and watch him and he used to just kick lumps at people. He couldn't pass the ball from me to you, but he thought he was Jose Mourinho when it came to tell me how to play football. So, but it was good grounding, don't get me wrong. He was hard on me, but I don't think without that, him behind me, moaning at me constantly, pushing and striving me to get the better out of myself, that I probably wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for him. So my dad's been absolutely inspirational for me throughout my course of my career.
He was there with you on Saturday again. I mean,
he doesn't miss a game, Welsh. It doesn't matter where it is, even if it's midweek. For example, years ago when I was at Morton at the time, we were playing Ross County in Dingwall on a Tuesday night. I turned around behind the goal, my old man standing there in the pissing rain. So he's something else, but I think he loves it and all, because I think his Saturdays just all about coming to watch me playing football, and now that I've got a young family, they're going with him as well. So I think he enjoys that aspect of it.
Little wonder. Greenock Morton. Never a dull moment playing Morton these days, of course. But what did you draw from that experience and playing the likes of Derek Lilly? I think you've mentioned quite a lot.
Derek Lilly was excellent. He used to drive me in the mornings. Obviously, I hadn't passed my test by this point, so he was a guy that played into Leeds and stuff like that. So he was a big influence. I used to clean his boots, and he would pass on what to do, hold the ball up, just wee basic things like halfway line, hold it up, pop it off, spin, get in the box. I think people overcomplicate football now, whereas that was just a simple instruction where it sticks with you in your mind that halfway line, hold it, secure the ball. Once you're up in the final third, then you can go and try and make a magic and try and beat somebody and get a goal. But he was always on me in training every day. And then I remember one day I'd slept in. He would basically pick me up at the door, right? So we stayed here, and he would tell me, no, you need to stand at the corner for me coming. He would just discipline me a wee bit if I'm looking back at it. But one morning I'd slept in. Derek's up, champing the door. I'm still in bed. I think my mum slept in, I know, because she's usually up with the breakfast ready. And my mum was, Brian, Derek's at the door. I panicked, washed my face, got to Clayzo, and I was sweating in the motor. I'm so sorry, I panicked, apologising to him, but he's just don't worry about it. But listen, them Dells, especially the career he said, he could have just drove away and left me. But that's the kind of character he was. He looked after me and made sure I didn't miss training. So he was a right good guy.
You've got 20 years almost to play in here. We'll spend most of our time talking about Thistle, but Morton, East Stirlingshire loan, Wraith Rovers, Dundee United, St Johnstone loan, Ross County, Hibs, Cheltenham County again before Thistle. Don't need to go through every club one by one, but talk me through some of the highlights of that journey for you.
I think, listen, I know Morton now is a club that I don't really like, but I think that was a club that gave me the start. Douglas Ray, the chairman at the time, was excellent. Jim McInally and Martin Clark, who was manager and assistant manager, were absolutely fantastic with me. They gave me my opportunity to go and play first team football, and I owe them everything for that. I still speak to them when I see them, so very good people. But I loved their training because they were football guys. I always remember it, 3v3s pre-season, 3v3s, 4 teams, a 3v3, and then you would do 4-minute runs. It was right high tempo. But the players then, everybody was demanding. Like now, I think the younger generation coming up, they can't handle if you're a wee bit hard on them. But in the days where that's how it was, because people are fighting for their livelihoods. It's not as if we get paid X amount of money in the Scottish Championship. You're playing for a one bonus, you're playing to try and get promoted, you're playing to try and get your wage increase. But a lot of these younger kids now, they just think everything should be handed to them, and they don't actually get the demands of the game at times. And that part of it's frustrating for me. Now I'm coming to the tail end of my career, but that base grounding is stuck with me for day dot, and it'll never go away. I think you can see how animated they are on the pitch. It's not that I want to be an arse at times. I just want to win, and I want my teammates running about me. I want to win as well. So, but Morton, I do thank them a lot for the career that I've had, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff off the pitch with a certain amount of their fans that I just can't stand anymore. And as I said on View for the Terrace, it's a club that I just love scoring against. So it's always a pleasure when I do.
Let your scoring do the talking, Brian. Absolutely. Well, I know you and your son are big followers of the Scotland men's national team. You've played with a good few who'll be representing Scotland in Germany this summer, most notably Captain Andy Robertson and Vice Captain John McGinn. Just a wee bit on them, and did you always sense they were on their way to the very top?
Well, Andy'd actually signed at Dundee United basically the same week as me, so we'd signed at the same time, but I think they'd brought him in as a project, and they'd brought the boy Graham Carey in on trial. But you seen for the pre-season, Andy was flying, and we went away to Germany for the first week, and then flew from Germany to Marbella. So we were away for 2 weeks. Graham Carey was out with us, but Andy was in the room next to me, and I said to him, "You keep doing what you're doing, you'll be right in the first team," because he looked that good, and he was really flying. And Jackie McNamara, to his credit, didn't matter what age he was, he just thought, "I don't really need to sign Graham Carey. I've got this young boy here that's really, really doing well," and gave him his chance. And look where his career ended up winning the Champions League with Liverpool. And did I see him going that far then? Probably not, but the career he's had, it's absolutely fantastic. And he comes from a nice family. I remember meeting his mum and dad. They were lovely people, so I'm delighted for the young kid.
Yeah, and obviously John at Hibs as well. He's not done bad either.
No, he's not. And I used to travel in with John at Hibs and touch a class with him and the boy Dylan McGeer, to be fair. When my brother passed away, like, used to travel in with him, and I remember I went up to say a few words at my brother's funeral, and I looked out and he was sitting in the John McGinn and Dylan McGeer were in the chapel. So that was a touch of class for the two boys, and something I'll never forget. But that just sums them up. They were good boys.
Yeah. Is that nice thing for you? You play in and you manage, and you go to so many football games when there's something at stake for you, whether you're playing, managing, or watching. When you go and watch Scotland, you can actually just relax to an extent and enjoy the game with your son.
It's good for me that I take my daughter as well. To be fair, but she's a bit disappointed. I'm not taking her to Germany. It's just me and Daniel that's got to Germany. But I promised her I'll take her away for a weekend, just me and her. So I take the two kids along. They enjoy it. It's a bit of family time, just me and the kids. And you can go there and you can just relax, just go and watch a game. But because I'm managing, I always just look at the tactical side of the game. I can see people run about me. Like, for example, the Northern Ireland game a couple of weeks ago, there was this old geezer a couple of seats along from me. He was just shouting and bawling absolute nonsense. And I was like, just watch the game, mate. Just calm down a wee bit. Northern Ireland were well organised. They scored a good goal and we couldn't break them down. It wasn't as if the boys weren't trying, and he was up shouting and bawling and swearing. And I was like, calm down, mate. We've got to Euros. Yeah. This is all about just getting the match sharpness in the boys' legs and keeping the spirit within the camp. So some fans really do my head in sometimes, even though when I go there to relax.
Aye, I mean, booing the team that's taking you to the Euros that you've still got to look forward to did seem a wee bit over the top, but
that's just the Scottish personality, and a lot of people they're kind of winners, but at the same time you've got to recognise where you are and where you've came from, what Steve Clarke done at that country, and how far he's taken them as a unit. It's incredible. And by the way, I fancy our chances against Germany in the first game, but that's just my optimistic.
Glass half full. I like it. The words Ross County still don't sit easy for obvious reasons around the club, but worth acknowledging your first spell in Dingwall in particular, as it brought you National Cup success, winning the League Cup at Hampden. You know, a unique feeling in your career, I'm sure.
Incredible. I still remember to this day, like, when the final whistle went, I'm just running to the halfway line with my two hands aloft. I was a feeling that if I could bottle it and cherish it, I would drink it every day, because it was incredible. Nobody had given us a chance. Little club like Ross County, we beat Celtic in the semi-final, and then Hibs in the final, where it was majority of Hibs fans in the crowd. But that final whistle and running over and seeing my family up there, and Daniel was born, my two kids were born. I never won it until my two kids were born, by the way. Do you know that? That's a start for you. So I lost the Scottish Cup final, so I blame Daniel for not coming early for that. And not to do with the sitter, I missed to make it one each. No, but it was absolutely incredible, and I know there's been a lot of history between Thistle and County with the way the playoffs went, but if I'm being really honest, Ross County was a club for me. It was excellent. The people in the background, I always speak about Susie Kipwoman. She's one of the best people that I've ever came across in football. She was like a second mother to everybody, not just me. She was anybody who needed a bit of help, she was willing to help them. And the game we played them in the cup, I hadn't seen her. She's usually floating about, and I'd been taken off and winning comfortably, and I said, I know she is. She's sitting in the home changing room in the back room. So I snuck away and I went in the home changing room, went through in the back, and she was there and she had a big smile, but she was struggling with her hip. She was needing a hip hop. She's like, Brian, I couldn't come out. I was worried I wasn't going to get to see you. So me and her had a cuddle in the changing room, and nobody knew that. I just sneaked away and just went in. But wee moments like that, I still get a wee text now and again. She's just an absolute wonderful, wonderful person.
You must have met a lot of people like that through your career. Obviously, well known for playing football north of the border. There was one spell south of the border at Cheltenham. How was that for you?
That wasn't about the football. That was more about the horse racing, if I'm being honest. It was a fantastic move. It was a great part of the world to live in. The weather was great, but was a boy, Kevin Dawson, Irish boy, loved the racing. Me and him end up really pally with Fergal O'Brien. We'll get up to his yard every Wednesday when we're off at 8 a.m, watching the horses go out and get on the gallops. Fergs end up taking us to Chepstow. They had a grade 2 winner on Poetic Rhythm that day. We were in the winner's enclosure drinking pink champagne, and you just seen how the other half lived. And there was a guy, Chris Coley, who's Fergal's money man basically, and who's helped Fergal really get the new stables at Ravens, the farm at Ravens. So we just kind of kicked about with them and went everywhere with them.
Right.
And it was a hell of an experience. Like the week Cheltenham was on, I think Gary Johnson, the manager, says to us, he's only allowed to go one day. I was there 4 days. The Wednesday I was in with all the celebrities. Sir Alex Ferguson was at that table, McCoist and TalkSport boys were at that table, and you're looking about going, I've got to Morton and scheming. I'm sitting in with all these famous people, but the boy Chris Coley, he's well known, so he said, "Do you want a picture of Sir Alex?" And I said that'd be fantastic. I grew up Man United fan because Dwight York, Andy Cole, Solskjaer, just loved guys that scored goals. So he had security, as you would imagine. Chris went over, said, "Right, you can get a picture." So he's just stood up, going to take the picture and then sit back down. So me being me, I says, "You ain't got to say hello. That's quite ignorant for a Scotsman." And then he recognised the voice and he asked where I was from. We had a wee conversation and I says, "He said, "That's not Glasgow." Govin's Glasgow, just taking the mic. But he did speak after that. So that was a precious moment that I got to meet Sir Alex Ferguson. So Cheltenham wasn't more in the football sense, it was more about the horse racing and meeting all the celebrities.
You're never going to bite your tongue when you had a chance with Sir Alex, were you? So
I'm just that wee guy for the scheme. If I get an opportunity to speak to somebody, I'm going to speak to them. So it was a good wee day because I think we had a couple of winners that day and all.
Not surprised. I'm not surprised seeing you in action. As is known, you galloped back north, far north, obviously from Cheltenham to County before the move to Firhill came along. And as you said earlier, Brian Graham and Partick Thistle, it feels like it was destined to be. Could it have happened earlier?
I think it could have, but actually before I went to Cheltenham, I wanted to come to Thistle, and I'd say to my agent, "Get me to Thistle. I'm back in Glasgow," and then it didn't materialise, and then I ended up going to Cheltenham. But there was always rumours that it was happening, but there was never ever anything concrete put in front of me to sign. There was always kind of talks here or there, but there was nothing ever to say that you can go and that's the deal done until I eventually did sign for Thistle. When I left, I never knew this at the time, but I think Thistle had to pay for me for County. Apparently, I thought it was a free. But Royce McGregor's a businessman, isn't he? So if I'd have known that, I'd have been asking for some of it. But I never get a penny from it. And then obviously I come down the road, took a big wage cut to come down the road because I said it was a family decision. I wanted to be back in the house with the 2 kids and back with the wife. And it wasn't really about money then. It was just about being in my own house, be able to take my kids to school, kids clubs and all the rest of it. So it's worked out well. But then 6 months in, I ended up taking a woman's job. I'm as busy as ever. So it's been hectic, but it's been really rewarding on both ends.
Yeah. Let's talk about men's team season by season, and then we'll come to your job with the women's team because it's been eventful. Season 1, you arrive here in January. A couple of months later, things change across the world. Ultimately, we're demoted, however you want to put it. Even now, I get a sense you're still raging about that.
I am. I'm still raging about the penalty given against us as well, because it wasn't a penalty. And a couple of decisions then, just a couple at the weekend. I don't think that was much of a penalty either, but the decisions then against us and everything that went with it, it doesn't sit well with me, and I don't think it ever will. Like, as I said to you, it wasn't about money coming to Partick Thistle, but when you half it again, then you've got 2 kids to support and you've got a mortgage to pay, so it then puts you in financial difficulty. So that did annoy me, because it wasn't just about me, it was about my family. So that will never go away, that hatred, and that's a strong word, hatred, to everything that went round about it. So that's how I felt, that's how I still feel. But at the same time, the way the League One campaign planned out, where we just came so strong at the end, and even though it was COVID, the scenes in the street where the fans turned up, that was special, up in the canal every other weeks. And it was good because you could hear them, and when you scored, you could run to the corner and give them a wee wave. And I just wish Firhill was packed to the rafters, because I felt a sense of it in the playoff final against Ross County when we won that game, where the place was absolutely rocking, and that was a special night. But to win the league and see them out there when they probably shouldn't have been out there, let's be honest, but they turned up, and they were giving us a good loud cheer, so it was great.
They were all 2 metres apart. There was only a few of them out for their daily walk, Brian, so it's all fine. That it's going on to season 2. Strange season. We had to start it late. We had to stop in the middle of it. We then got this condensed April when out of nowhere, and Ian McCall always talks about that East Fife game being a turning point, the 2-0 down to each. But the April journey was just phenomenal. Even setting aside the way we won it against Falkirk 5-0 here.
No, it was brilliant. It was, and I think I'd played with broken ribs a couple of times. Like I broke my ribs, and the gaffer had asked me to play, and so you just take a couple of painkillers and you get on with it. But I think one of the best goals I actually scored was against East Fife out there with a lob.
That's right.
But when I run away and the boys come to run and jump on me, I'm like that. You can't, because my ribs are broke. I can't have them jumping on me. I was in agony, and I was in agony for a couple of months after it. But I just got on with it, gritted the teeth and got on with it, and we managed to get the job done. And it was special that they won a cup with the club. But I still want to get them at the Premier League. I know I've just signed a new deal in December, so I'm going to have the chance to try and do that. But we know how difficult it is. The Championship is extremely difficult. This year, we have been good enough to an extent, but there's been far too many draws in there. We've scored a lot of goals, but we've probably conceded a lot as a team as well. And that's why we're not challenging at the top end. And as a player, that's disappointing, because at the start of the season, you always want to be competing. There's 4 games to go. We know we can't win the league, so it's frustrating. But at the same time, we've still got to secure the playoff spot, and hopefully we can go one better this time.
And with that means that part of the desire is obviously because you're a born winner, but the chance to actually achieve something with Partick Thistle and celebrate with fans in the ground is something that you clearly want to get to.
No, I think we got a wee sense of it last year in the playoffs. Like, obviously the home game, as touched on, the place was absolutely rocking. And then when we're leaving on the Friday to go to County, the fans out in the street and the jubilance running about the place, and listen, half an hour to go, we probably photo all there. So, but we blew it big time. There's no getting away for that. We lost some sloppy goals, but and then obviously we lose it in penalties in the manner we did. It was a sore one, but listen, football is no an easy game at times, and there's going to be setbacks, there's going to be highs and there's lows. I say that all the time, but there's never ever an in-between in football. You're either high as a kite or as low as a snake's belly, and so we try to find that balance, but unfortunately in football at times it's hard. Yeah,
again, probably PTSD warning for fans. We don't want to labour in that game. We all woke up the next day and the heart hadn't gone away. You didn't have a chance to wake up, and you had to get on with life because you had coaching in Edinburgh, didn't you?
I was in Edinburgh in the A licence, and honestly I was walking about in a trance. But Richie Wilson, one of the tutors, and Brian Rice, they actually thanked me for coming, because they said, obviously I needed the coaching badge, but there's no place, I didn't want to be there, not a chance did I want to be there on the Monday morning. Brian Rice, nickname's Chipper, he's like, Brian, right, you're going to coach. I'm like, what? I didn't want to go to coach, I just wanted to be there just to see the day out. And then, but he's like, no, I'll take your mind off it, just go and coach and that'll do you, and then help everybody else. So I went on for my 15-20 minutes doing my bit of coaching and felt a wee bit better. But I remember I just kept taking myself away from the group, and I'd walk behind the trees, kid on, I'd gone for a pee, just to get away from it, because I was just walking about. It was a strange day. It was just, but later on that, so I went back, and then I met the boys, a couple of boys met up just to have a beer, just to de-stress a wee bit, and that kind of helps, just seeing them after the long day. And because that journey down the road before we stopped at Aviemore for a chippy, not one person spoke, and it was horrific. Don't get me wrong, it's one of the lowest points in my football career. I know I lost the Scottish Cup with Dundee United, but I think that was worse, not getting to the Premier League with Partick Thistle.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that, but thanks for sharing that. Current season, we've talked about your goal scoring, but you've got the captain's armband. That's a big thing for you.
No, when I came, Ian McCall, when he signed Doc, he'd said to me that he was going to give me a Doc the captain's armband. I was happy either way. I got on, still speak to Doc. I know he plays for Dundee United now, but he was my captain at the club, and he helped me with the women's side. He's still a right good friend of mine, and so when he left, I wasn't sure if I was going to get it, but to be fair to the gaffer deals, he's given me the armband, and I think it's probably given me that wee bit added pressure, but at the same time, added reward, because I'm seeing that in my football. I'm playing well, and I'm demanding from the squad, and I think I've really walked into the role. I think I've done well as a captain, but at the same time, captains who do well get success, so they need to get that success with it. So fingers crossed by the end of the season we get a bit of success as well.
Definitely. was going to touch on something that, the journey's been full of powerful moments, but in my opinion, and you no doubt agree, the most powerful moment, I think, is when you give the interview to promote the SPFL Trust Trophies partnership with FC United to prevent suicide. And you talk very openly about your brother. I think you touched on that again in a recent interview with the Sunday Mail. And what's powerful about it, in one direction, is how much your words can help other people in a similar position. So it's up to you how much you want to share today, but given how helpful it is for other people, I'll let it.
No, listen, obviously, when I did that interview, I wasn't sure about it at the time, but it probably helped me, if I'm being honest, like just speaking about it, not letting it build up inside me anymore. Because there's always this bit of regret. Could you have done this? Could you have done that? But I know now, like, my brother was too far gone. Like, he didn't want to be here anymore. So the best thing for me was talking about it, because it helped me. I wasn't really getting stressed about it. And a lot of people came forward and spoke to me about it, said how powerful it was, and thanks for doing it. So if there's anybody in that situation that's been through something similar to myself, just talk about it. Or else if there's somebody in this situation where they've got a family member who's involved in drugs or maybe suicide, whatever, then try and get them a wee bit of help. And by the way, the biggest problem in this day and age is there's not a lot of help out there, and we need to do more. Everybody needs to do more. And even the Scottish Government need to do more with the funding to try and help, because there's a lot of these people who struggle with mental health and they just get put in between the cracks and they get forgot about. And that's probably one of the biggest disappointments in this day and age. We're supposed to be this big technology country and wide world that we've got all these billions of pounds with Apple, Amazon, all these companies, but people that struggle with mental health can't get the cover they deserve. I just find that wrong in so many levels, and something needs to be done about it.
Yeah. And again, we'll put some contact numbers at the end of this for anyone who does want to reach out in any way, because there are some avenues available. Just to qualify what we're talking about here, it was to do with your brother taking his own life. How many years ago now, Brian?
I don't know exactly. I don't really think about the years, if I'm being honest, because it probably annoys me. It was just before I actually went to Cheltenham. It was the day before I signed for Cheltenham, actually. It was the day before I went down to sign for Cheltenham, so I don't even know how many years that was. I'm not really sure. I'm sweating in here with a jacket on.
I know, it's hot. It's hot.
But my brother was, as I spoke, he wasn't an angel. He'd taken drugs over the course of the years. He'd tried to commit suicide before. We'd got him help, different avenues, but by this time, the drugs and the mental health, it took over him, and he was too far gone for any one of us to help him. And sadly, we lost him at a young age of 39, but still think about him every day, and we miss him greatly, especially at Christmas, because he was a life and soul at the house, at the party. He was half daft, if I'm going to be really honest. He was hilarious, really, really hilarious. And I don't know if it was the drugs that we're talking, but there's a funny story about a seagull. He came into my mum's house, and he was going to the shops, and he says, "Seagull at him," right? So he's come back the next day, and he's like, "I see him, seagull was sitting at that pole again, waiting to me again." so me and my dad were absolutely ripped them. So that was just the sort of things he would hit out with. He was just unconscious comedian. And to be fair, for the problems he had, if anybody needed it, and he would give you his last pound. He was kind-hearted, loving soul, and as I said, he was sadly missed.
Thanks very much for sharing that, Brian. Again, we will share some contact details at the end, but I guess a couple of messages from you would be that you talking about that has helped you.
Of course, I think you need to talk about it. You need to go out there, and you can't let it build up, because when it builds up, then you start to affect your own mental health. So I think it's good that you can go and speak about it. It's find somebody you trust, and just you don't need to do it openly. Just find somebody you trust and speak to them, and it could help you, and it could go a long way.
Absolutely. And that was the second message, was to other people listening to this. Reach out, send a text message, send a DM on Twitter, whatever it might be. Just send a message to someone that you want to talk, and someone will be there for you.
Of course, they need to be.
Absolutely. And we'll add those numbers at the end. Thank you again. That's touched on the theme of family, and it's crystal clear how important they are to you. I saw you and your dad and your son walking away, a lovely image from East End Park on Saturday. We see your wife, daughter and son with you at Firhill all the time. And of course, Daniel leads the charge at the Thistle Women's Games. How important is the support of your family and what you've achieved so far and what you want to achieve?
Oh, they're excellent, but obviously my two young kids, so obviously people start to see your age and they start talking about retirement and all that. So my two kids say to me, "You're not retiring." I was like, I know I'm not retiring. I'm not got any ambitions to retire now. And just, listen, I love the fact that they're there. I love the fact that I'm running out. Actually, one of my first games as captain, I had the 2 kids run out just as a memory to have, and got the pictures from it. And when we're older and we'll look back at it, it should be a special moment. Like, a lot of the things have happened with the kids, they've always been involved in it, and that's great for me because family's everything to me. And even when they're sitting up there, sometimes when I don't know why, but the hospitality for the families there, and then the away supporters there, but when Morton come, I put them on the far side because I don't want to hear the grief. But my wee boy's 8, he'll be 9 in May, and he's like, no, I'll sit in there, I'll gear him at back. He thinks he's a Partick Thistle rebel. He thinks he's up with the young team with the drum. He was at the cup final, he had the drum, and he goes behind the goal with the girls, and he just loves it. He's in the shower singing Partick Thistle songs, and me and my missus are just laughing at him sitting on the couch. He's absolutely loves it.
Brilliant. That's what it's all about. And his support for the women's team brings us on to that topic of your appointment as women's team manager and all that's happened since. What a journey.
It's been incredible, Welsh. It's a bit like the football side at the men's. It's went really well. It's been great for my personal journey as a manager while I'm still playing and getting that grounding behind me now through all my badges. So it's been excellent in that aspect that while I'm still playing, I could get my badges, do the management side, and because, listen, I'm going to retire at some stage, I'm no daft. So as much as I want to play as long as possible, there will be a day where the boots will need to go in the peg. But then I've set myself up that I'm willing to just walk into management because I've been doing it nearly 4 years now. As I said, I think it's 4 years and 4 months I've been at the club. And it was 6 months in, then I took the women's job. So it's kind of went hand in hand, both of them. And it's been an incredible journey to getting up to the top league in the women's. We got to the Scottish Cup semi-final. We've now just obviously unlucky we got to the League Cup final, Sky Sports, and Rangers beat us on the day. But back-to-back top 6 finishes in the top league. We're a part-time squad with a very limited budget. It's been an incredible journey. It's been absolutely fantastic personally for my CV. I know that, but at the same time, there's been a lot of hard work and dedication into it because at times it is tiring. It's not easy because you're doing both roles and you're getting pulled pillar for post. But I'm quite an active guy, and I think if I stopped it, I'd probably be bored. I know I've got family to run about as well, and I've got a wee dog that I need to take out every day. But that's just my life. It's just hectic, and if I'm sitting in the house for any longer than an hour or 2 hours, I get bored. I get itchy feet. I don't really like sitting about. I like being up and at them and like getting out and about. So it's all worked out really well, and long may it continue.
Dogs don't walk themselves like they used to, do they? They need walked.
I wish they did. I could just let them out and go and see your scheme dog, pal. But unfortunately, you don't get away with that where I stay now. So
we could fill another podcast and then some with your PTWFC journey. But let's just reflect on the recent Sky Sports Cup final, leading the team out. Rachel's goal in that moment, and the Red Nail Army singing from first whistle to last. What a day! It
was incredible, and like the tactics were to kind of get after Rangers, and I felt we did that. I think we had a big chance at 0-0 where it gets cleared off the line. If I'm being really honest, we had to score first to really frighten Rangers. Rangers are one of the best teams in the country. They're full time, so fit and athletic that my girls are part time. They were working all week. We actually get not bad from them. We ask them to come 3 nights a week training, and they're willing to do so. But to go and beat Rangers, we had to score first. But the manner we lost the first goal wasn't great. But then we scored a fantastic goal to get ourselves back in it, and we lose 2 sloppy goals before half time. And me personally, I knew then it was probably done. But as a manager, you try and change the shape, and we went with 2 up front, but we lose another one, and then I knew how good Rangers were, so I switched it to a back 5 because I didn't feel my girls deserved to get embarrassed. And I spoke about that at the time on national television because I felt for that first 35 minutes, they were excellent. And if we could have just taken the lead, because I could feel Rangers were getting agitated, we switch off at a corner, the girl scores a wonder goal. But when Rachel scored and turning round and seeing the Red and Yellow Army behind, absolutely celebrating the goal. It was the first cup final the club had been to since 1971, so you could see how much it meant to them. And listen, it'll mean a lot to my players. Some of them might never get to a cup final again, so it was a fantastic experience taking them on the bus, taking them to the hotel before the game and really treating them like professional athletes. And it was good, but me being me, I'm still gutted when I won it.
Of course. And that's the thing that matters most to you, I'm sure, but so much to take from that day. And for the next cup final, you can draw on that experience because I'm sure there will be one. Finally, touching on your relationship with the fans, it's been strong since day one, to be fair, but it only seems to strengthen week by week. So in closing, covering both men's and women's teams, what kind of message would you have for the Red and Yellow Army?
Just thanks for taking to me, first and foremost, because it doesn't go unrecognised. You can hear them singing songs about me, and it's quite surreal that anywhere I go nowadays, I bump into a Partick Thistle fan, and listen, it's great. My kids are like, "How's that, Dad?" And I'll go, "To be honest with you, I don't really know, because you don't know every fan, you don't know them by name, but you get to know some of them. But sometimes when you're out and maybe a guy or a woman will come up to you and say, I'm so and so and Partick Thistle fan, and I'll say to the kids, it's a fan from the club, and it's great that you get recognised when you're out and about. But they've been excellent, as you said, since day one with me, and hopefully I can keep repaying them, keep scoring goals, and fingers crossed one day I can get them back to the Premier League."
Absolutely, because why shouldn't the both stands being full not be the norm for you scoring in front of them? That's what we all want. So as we hopefully head towards securing our playoff place and a big game or two to come, and looking ahead to next season and season ticket sales, let's get the place as busy as it can be, because it's a difference maker.
Oh, of course it is. It's when the place is rocking and it's covered with red and yellow, and the flags are out and everything, and the boys are belting the songs out behind the goal. It's incredible. So I would love this place to be sold out every week, every second week when we're here. So the people that can buy season tickets, if they can afford it, first and foremost, great. Get them as many people in here as possible.
Thank you, Brian. Agreed. But before we're back at the Wire Stadium at Firhill, we'll see you at Kirkcaldy on Saturday as you hunt down another goal to make the Thistle Archive update their records once again. And that is it for Series 1 of the Partick Thistle Football Club podcast. Thanks to the podcast rooms and Clyde Built Home Improvements for backing today's final episode. We'll take a breather for a couple of weeks, and if you've enjoyed these episodes and would like to support us to help make a Series 2 a reality, we are inviting sponsors for that next series. You can do that for the entire series of 6, or you can sponsor just an episode individually. So email media@ptfc.co.uk. That's media@ptfc.co.uk. Easy for me to see if you're interested in getting involved. Thanks finally to Messrs Doolan, Lawless, Macbeth, Williams, Muirhead and Graham. And once again, Stevie, we're all rooting for you. See you on Saturday on the Jags.
Hi everyone. Today's podcast with Brian Graham included themes and contained some content that may be upsetting for listeners. If you or someone you know is struggling with their mental health or feeling suicidal, please don't hesitate to ask for help by contacting your GP or NHS 24 on 111 if you live in Scotland. Call Samaritans on 116 123, available 24/7. Call Breathing Space on 0800 83 85 87 from 6pm to 2am on weekdays and 6pm on Friday to 6am on Monday, again if you live in Scotland. Papyrus Hopeline UK is available for children and young people under 35 who are having thoughts of suicide, or anyone concerned that a young person could be thinking about suicide. Call 0800 068 4141 or text 07860 039 967. Finally, text SHOUT to 85258 to contact the Shout Crisis text line. Text YM if you're under 19. The service is available 24/7.